very much, and I'd like to welcome those of you that are here, and those of you that may be joining us on Facebook and YouTube to their monthly board meeting. We're doing it just a little bit earlier this year because this month because of some conflicts, but I want you to know we're glad that you joined us, and I'd like to read our mission before calling the meeting to order. The Garrard County Board of Education is responsible stewards of the resources entrusted to us. Affirming the dignity and value of all children of our community will provide to all children an education which enables them to graduate college and career ready and become successful, productive citizens in a global society. At this time, I'll call our meeting to order. If you would join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. If you'll stand and join me and say the pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And I think I forgot to mention that 4 board members are present. 1 can't be here, Dr. Lamb can't be here, and the superintendent. All right, item C is to adopt the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Mr. McQuarrie made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, let it be known by lifting your hand. All board members present voted yes. Item 2 is communications, and I don't think we have any recognitions. Correct. And the item B is the site-based decision-making minutes, and I know that all board members have had ample opportunity to go over each one of these. And unless there's any questions or comments on any of those, we'll move on to item C for audience comments. And we've got one, Mr. Charles Barnes.
Yes, sir. I want to talk to the board members about new buses. And I heard that this year, 2022, that we're not going to buy no buses, we're going to buy vans. And 2 vans don't come up with prices of 2 buses. And 2008, you didn't buy no buses, and that's $10,000 every 10 years you lose on a bus. So the state pays you $10,000 every 10 years for education. 2016, we bought 3 maintenance trucks and 1 van out of bus funds. Bought them side-by buses. In 2020, you didn't buy no buses. And 2021, you bought 2 buses. Then 2022, you're going to buy 2 vans, I hear, and no buses. Now, my understanding, everybody got a budget. The bus drivers got a budget. The maintenance people got a budget. And we take money out of the bus funds and buy 3 maintenance trucks in 2016 and don't buy no buses. Bought 1 van, which we needed for the bus garage. Now, I hear we're going to buy 2 new vans this year for the schools. But the schools, they use the vans. The bus drivers, we use the buses. And if we don't, the van ought to be purchased by the schools because the schools use the vans. And 2 vans don't equal prices of 2 buses. So if you buy 2 vans, you ought to at least buy 1 bus. And I'd like to have your input on that. Why are we buying 2 vans instead of 2 buses?
Don't not throw you under the bus.
So there's been no decision made about what we would do around that. What we did was we spoke with Mr. Merida, the former transportation director, Initially, our conversation with him was the idea of perhaps buying only one bus during the coming year, using some of those residual funds from what we didn't spend on the second bus to fill in the gap for some of the vehicles that we have that function at a district level. When I say a district level, I mean it supports students, transportation to KSB, KSD, places like that. We have some vehicles that are in some disrepair. So when we spoke with Mr. Merritt about the idea of one bus and some other vehicles, he was the one who suggested the possibility of not purchasing any buses and buying more vehicles. There was never a conversation about 2 vans or anything of that nature. It was the idea of using those funds to offset those costs. The board hasn't made a decision about that. Don't necessarily disagree with the idea of a bus and some vehicles and doing that over the course of a couple of years.
Okay, but 2016, you bought 3 maintenance trucks out for the maintenance people. So why do we take bus funds and buy maintenance trucks when we did buy a bus that year?
So I can't speak to that. I don't know what the rationale was that particular year. I don't know if it has to do with the fleet situation that you have with the buses. I think right now we have a pretty solid situation when it comes to fleet. We don't want that to decline in any fashion or any way. We can't go back and change anything that happened in 2016.
No,
So
you can't.
there's no reason to address that. What we're going to address is what you talked about. And the board will make a decision. If the board chooses to buy 2 buses, which has been kind of a standard, then that's what we'll do. If they say 1 and shift some of the funds, then we'll do that. If they say shift all of the funds, we'll do that. So again, no decision's been made, and your input's important to us, and we're glad you're giving it to us today.
You know, that's why I wanted you to come tonight and share what you shared with me. You're back.
Yeah, I just curious, interested in keeping our bus fleet up. And when you don't buy a bus, you lose that year. And it's hard to replace these buses, if you don't keep your fleet up. And that was my question, because of that.
You know, and we've been committed to that because I've known of some districts that didn't buy buses, and boy, did they pay for it down the road. And so we've tried to do that, but we have pretty much gone with the transportation director's advice to us. And I can't even remember 2016. I can't remember why we didn't buy any buses in 2016.
But I just pointed them out for the last 4 years that we didn't buy buses, which that's $80,000 that the school board is missing out on the state giving every 10 years for the buses. They give 10,000 depreciation for 10 years. So you're looking at $80,000 that we missed out.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming and sharing. We'll certainly take that under consideration, and I don't know when we'll make a decision on this, probably the next
It'll be a couple of months.
couple of months. Okay. All right, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. There are no others
Not that I'm aware.
that you're aware of. Okay, board members. Do you have any comments? Mr. Stubb?
So you have listed the personnel changes since the May board meeting. You have new hires, resignations, and transfers that have occurred during that period of time, just making you aware of all of those. My second update for you is on Senate Bill 128. Last month, you all made the decision to allow parents to make that decision regarding their children. You asked a couple of things of us. You asked that we inform the folks of all components, and that we have them sign off that they have been made aware of all of those pieces. We've done that. We had at that time 43 interested. We now have 20 who've made that decision. 14 of those at the high school, the other 6 spread over the 3 elementaries and the middle school. All of those individuals have been made aware. Parents have been made aware. We have signed forms from each of them saying that they understand that they're making this decision, not to hold the board accountable if there's something that was missed in the process. So out of the 43, it was 20. It declined significantly from what the original was, but you've allowed those families to make that decision without you making it for them, and I think that that's a good decision on your part.
So if you met with all these families?
Yes.
And that-
Now, I may not have met with all of them. I met with all the ones at the high school. I didn't meet with all the ones at the elementary level. Our primary issue at the high school is to make sure they understand the athletic component of that. So Mr. Anderson, myself, and Mr. Hoskins met with all of them at one time. I double checked with him today to make sure that we still had every signature that we were supposed to have, and we're solid there.
Good. All right. All right, thank you. Item 3 is reports, and under 3, item 8 is the treasurer's report.
Okay. The ending cash balance for May was $7,128,483. And when you compare that balance to May 2020, we're up by approximately $626,000. As you can see on the comparison at the bottom, the variance is largely due to general fund balance increasing. And as we previously discussed, the current year general fund balance realized a savings of approximately $570,000 due to the COVID relief funds. And that's where we were able to move some salaries out of general fund into our special revenue fund. Some other funds to note, our special revenue fund is currently showing a negative balance of $316,000. And we've discussed this in the past, your federal funds, you have to spend it before you get the money. So we are currently waiting on a reimbursement of $453,000 to cover our May expenditures. Our school activity fund was not in our prior year, was not reported in the prior year. So the ending balance and variance of that is approximately $300,000. Our construction fund is down about $100,000 when compared to last year. And this is just due to our current construction projects we've had going on this year. Our food service fund is down by approximately $287,000. And that is due to our improvements in our kitchens and cafeterias that was in accordance with our spend down plan. Just a couple of other items to note, our capital outlay fund in June, in this month, we'll be transferring $210,000 into the general fund in accordance with our capital fund transfer request that we had approved. And our building fund, you'll also notice it has a balance, a negative balance of about $150,000. And in June, we received our final allocation of $542,000, and that negates the negative balance. So we're square on everything.
Okay.
And that is all I have.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? For the treasurer? Okay, then we'll move on to item B, our bond potential update.
So Garrard Financial updates us on a monthly basis of where our current bonding capacity is. This month, they informed us that there was an interest rate decline again, and they pushed the bond issue date out a little bit. When they do that, that shows that you're going to have a little bit more money for bonding purposes. So as of the 7th of this month, you had a potential of $33 million. So that's the highest amount that we've shown so far. Again, every time we have this conversation, I tell you we don't expect it to remain there, but so far it has. So that's a good thing. We hope it remains for a significant period of time to allow you to make some decisions and move forward with some plans. But we'll keep you up to speed on the information as they share with us.
Thank you, sir. And item C is bills as presented. So,
You get those on a weekly basis, and then we combine all of those. And on today, I post those so that you have access to those again.
sir. All right, item 4 is a consent agenda. And we have, this time, we didn't have a working session, but each board member met this past Friday with Mr. Stoll and went over this in great detail. Do I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I move that we adopt the
Ms.
consent.
Davis made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Corey seconded. Unless there's anything you have seen that needs to be pulled out, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, let it be known by lifted hand. And all board members present, that's 4 of us, were in favor. The next item on our agenda is the action agenda, item 5. And item A is the first reading of the KSBA policy updates. And each board member has received one of these booklets that details all the policy changes. Mr. Stoll, do you want to speak to that?
Not other than to remind you that there's no action taken tonight. You all will take an action in July to approve those. In my review of them, I haven't seen anything that would suggest a reason for you to question what KSBA is applying.
What about? Item B is to approve student absence parole, parole. I was watching on the news
Sometimes.
about the parole board tonight. I guess that's on my mind. I apologize.
Hope you never had use of that.
Yeah, me too. Student absence parent note procedure, Mr. Stowe.
So,
That's kind of.
our director of pupil personnel has done some investigation. He checked with some districts and found that there was a process in place in some other districts that he thought might be beneficial to our district and our attendance secretaries and to our parents. The recommendation that he's brought forward and that I support is the idea that the first 6 absences that any student has is automatically an excused absence based on what we would assume is a parent note. If they actually go to a doctor and have a doctor's note, we would replace that parent note with the doctor's note. So anytime there's a doctor's note, that's going to have the priority. What this does is it means our secretaries don't have to try to track down this information on a reoccurring basis. Parents have very good intentions to send those notes in and will sometimes forget. We have a cap of 5 days to get that in, and then they're disheartened when they find out that they have an unexcused absence. It's the unexcused absence that ends up having them in court. So this could be a way for us to support our secretaries as well as supporting our parents. So I would recommend that you approve this change.
Thank you, sir. You've heard Jim's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Mr. Berry made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Hurt seconded. Is there any questions or comments? Mike, you look like you have a question.
Well, yeah, one topic that we've had problems with before were, we're still gonna notify the parents when they reach a point of whatever the point is, like reach 4 and then they revise they got 2 left. So that it doesn't get down to their 6th and then they all of a sudden get one that they've got an unexcused.
Yes, sir.
When they didn't realize that there was, the note wasn't delivered by the child or whatever.
Yes, sir. Well,
Or
we'll
there
inform
was a
all
mistake,
parents.
or we made a mistake.
Yes, sir.
Whichever happens.
We'll inform all the parents at the first of the year. That way they know. And so essentially, the only notes that they'll have to turn in will be doctor's notes, because they would know the first 6 would be parent notes on.
As far as the line of communication with parents being able to check in is still working and in order. They can check, they can go out on our website and
Yes, sir.
a website and
If they
check
can.
and see how their child is doing.
Yes, sir. And this would just be a huge asset to our parents, and it'll also be for our attendance secretaries.
Yeah.
Because it is, we have found parents that have the best of intentions to turn in the notes, forget, and then the 5 days is lapsed.
Good.
I had 2 questions.
Give people the benefit of the doubt before action's taken. That's a good thing.
Correct me if I'm wrong. At one point, I thought we contacted parents if a child did not show up to school. We had not heard from them to let them know.
We still do.
Still do that?
We still
Okay.
contact, yes,
So that
ma'am.
was, so good. And then my second comment, for the districts that have been doing this, did they see an increase, or a decrease, I guess, in attendance rate? Or an increase that was higher, that people were taking advantage of it?
You know,
I think we started this because we were trying to get a handle on attendance.
What we were trying to do with this is what those districts have found is the parents, so when you contact the parents and say, you know, Johnny's absent today, and they're like, oh, yes, he's absent, he's sick, I will send a note in, and then they forget, that's kind of where it's at. So we still contact them, we're still in touch with them, wanting to see what we can do to help. But it's just really helping those folks, because once it gets to the unexcused, and we get 3 unexcused, that's when they get their first truancy letter.
That too is going to reduce the number of appearances before Judge Moss.
Yes, sir,
And
absolutely.
I'm sure he'll be appreciative of
He
that.
will be, he will be.
Absolutely.
There-
They've never
there's-
done that.
Is there any concern that some parents will take advantage of this and think they've got 6 free passes?
Well, hopefully not. So it's gonna be, apparent for us, we have to go and communicate that to them, to let them know that nothing has changed from their standpoint as far as their parent notes, other than how we take them. So they still have the same amount as they've had in the past. It's just going to be that we're going to go ahead and take them for them, and they don't have to follow up with that extra step to make sure that we get that for an excuse.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, you ready to vote? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All 4 board members present voted yes, so the procedure is approved. Item C is to approve additional repairs to Paint Lick Drain Line project.
So last month you approved a project to begin work on the drain line at Paint Lick. The project began, and as soon as we began, we discovered that there's an additional break in the line in another location, which will mean that we have to repair that as well. We don't have an option, we have to repair. So we just want to make sure that you all are fully aware of what was happening. We anticipate that the cost basically will double. You basically had said 14,000 last month. To be safe, we're estimating an additional 14 for the other break, so it would end up being a total of $28,000. My recommendation is that you approve this additional repair.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we do the repair work since it's absolutely necessary anyway.
All right, Mr. McCray made the motion. Do I have a second? Ms. Davis seconded. Any comments or questions? All in favor, let it be known by lifted hand. All 4 board members voted yes. The repairs are approved. Item D is to approve insurance carriers and rates for 2021-22 school year. Mr. Stoll.
So your insurance rate for the coming year, summarized, will go up 4.63%. We have some portions that have gone down, some portions that have gone up, but as an overall, we've had more go up than go down. When we investigated the possibilities, 2 of the insurance carriers that we could have checked with had gone up 11%. So this was the best offer that we had available to us. Breakdown is this year we spent $252,742 for our premiums. Next year will be $264,439. My recommendation is that you approve these carriers in this amount.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Hurt made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Second.
Mr. McCray seconded. Is there any discussion? Comments or questions from any board member? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All 4 board members present say approved, and the carriers are approved. Item E is to approve a half-time position for Paint Lick Elementary with ESSER funds.
Paint Lick approached us with the idea of giving them an additional half position. It's a certified position. It would attach to another half-time position that they have, making a full-time position for them. They'd like to do this as a way of improving social and emotional learning, and the way that they want to approach that is the idea of giving every student in the building physical education every single day. We think that that's a great opportunity for our students at that level to do it. Since it's not a cost to the board through general funds, this would be a great exploration for us to see how this works, and could we transfer that idea to our other elementaries as well. So I would recommend that you approve this position.
All right, thank you, sir. You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Oh, go ahead.
Ms. Davis made the motion, and Mr. Hurd, I assume you second.
Second.
All right, any comments or questions? All in favor, let me know by, oh, I'm sorry.
I got a comment.
Please, I'm sorry.
I like this idea because, I mean, there's all kinds of studies out there suggesting and proving that kids that are physically active do much better in the classrooms. And I think it's a good experiment for us to see if this is really helping us and something we can jump on board later for the rest of the students.
Thank you. Anybody else? I didn't mean to jump ahead of you,
Oh, you're
sir.
fine.
All right, all in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All 4 board members present. Pass the motion. Item F is to approve BG5 for energy savings project, Mr. Stover.
Seems like every board meeting we have to deal with a BG of some kind with the energy savings project, and I think this will be the last one. You did one last month to get us to this spot. This BG5 closes out the project. There's no financial consequence to you in any fashion. You've been working with this project for 3 years now, something of that nature. So it's good that we're tying the bow around this one. So my recommendation is you approve this BG5.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. McCray made the motion, do I have a second?
Second. We second on it.
Ms. Davis, second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know.
Whoa, I'm sorry. I would just like to make a note of, this will be the last BG on energy savings, but it looks like there may be a future of several BGs in their immediate future, hopefully.
So that would be the hope. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you, sir. Are we ready to vote? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All 4 board members present are voting yes, BG5 is approved. Item G is to approve regular pay for 10-month employees working summer.
So we have an interesting situation that exists. We have some employees who work for us for 10 months, and they make X number of dollars per hour. In the past, we've always found that they were workers who would come and work for us in the summer, which was beneficial to us. But there is a policy that drives their salary back to minimum wage. I don't think that's the best look for us, nor do I think that creates any interest in them participating and working with us. So Mr. Aby came to me, pointed this out, asked if we could bring this to the board. So what we're asking you to do is allow those people who work for us 10 months a year and then work for us in the summer to stay at the same pay rate that they had during the regular year. My recommendation is you approve this motion.
Would you mind sharing what additional cost that would be?
For the current year, we'd be looking at about $3,000. It's fairly minimal when you start to think about it.
Thank you,
It's a
sir.
great question.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion?
You have a motion.
Mr. McCray made the motion, do I have a second?
I second. Is it my turn?
Ms. Davis, seconded. Any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I do have a comment. I think that, if you look at the maintenance side of everything here, I did come through today. Our summer help and our maintenance people were out in force and they were working. We're down to, I believe, 5, what you would consider full-time maintenance people. And if you just stop and think how much work there is for those 5 people, I don't think that's considered the maintenance supervisor. But he does a lot of work. He does a lot of the work too. He doesn't just supervise. He pitches in if they need help, they give help. I think that it's a pretty large task for our maintenance people. And I believe with things we've done in the past for other people, I think it would be certainly a misstep on their part not to approve that.
Thank you.
That's all I've got to say about that.
That's all you want to say about that? Anybody else? All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. All board members were in favor. The regular pay for 10-month employees is approved. Item H is to approve emergency certification for high school Spanish teacher.
Anytime we come with a request for emergency certification, we wish we didn't have to. We always want to hire somebody who's fully certified. I think we have a couple of neat things happening with this request, though. I think down the road, you have a really good opportunity that this person will be teaching for us in the school district for a while and is going back to get that certification. So in the near future, we won't be asking for this. We'll be asking you to welcome on board somebody in a full-time capacity with that full certification. Second thing that this one does for us is it gives us the opportunity to hire a minority person as a teacher into our district, and it's something that's been severely lacking for us. So it's a great opportunity. But to also give you a little context, Mr. Anderson did some checking to see if there was interest in some other type of language at the school, and there's really not. So we could go hire somebody who had that certification. If nobody's going to sign up for it, it doesn't help us in any fashion. So while this is not the thing that we always want to do, there are a couple of nice pieces to this that gives us something to look forward to. So I would recommend that you approve this emergency certification for high school Spanish.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Garrett made the motion. Do I have a second? Ms. Davis, second. You have any questions or comments? All in favor, let it be known by lifted hand. All 4 board members present were approved it, so that motion is passed. Item I is to approve after-school childcare at Kankakee Robinson through Little Rascals.
I would ask you all to make a motion to table this. We're waiting on a response from our board attorney. And I shared with you when we talked about this that I wouldn't ask you to make a decision on this until we had clearance from him. So we still do not have it. I tried to wait throughout the day today to see if that would come. So it's still on the agenda. We couldn't change it after I posted it yesterday. So I'll ask you to make a motion to table this.
Thank you. You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do we have that motion?
I will make a motion to table this.
Table it. And Ms. Davis seconded. Y'all have any questions? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. The motion is passed. Item J is to approve a grant providing drone for curriculum development on the use of drones in agriculture. I like that.
It's a really neat idea and opportunity. Eastern Kentucky University is making available to several districts the opportunity to have a drone. And the purpose of that drone is to support agriculture. We did some checking on this to make sure we knew what we were asking for here. We're asking you to approve this, but you need to understand we'll treat this drone just like we treat a school bus. When we do purchase a school bus, the only people who can drive that school bus are people who have a CDL and are licensed to do so. When we get this drone, only someone who's licensed to fly this drone will be able to do so. Currently, we don't have anyone who could do that. This week, our ag folks are going through information about the program, not about training to fly the drone. Once we have the drone will sit until we have somebody who can fly it. And once that happens, then we'll be able to take advantage of the opportunity to perhaps support folks in our community in the world of ag. Also things at the school level, but flown by someone who's licensed to do so. So my recommendation is you approve us accepting this great opportunity and bringing the drone to the district.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the
moved.
motion.
Mike said, yeah.
Mr. Query made the motion, Mr. Hurt seconded. We have any questions? I'm a licensed pilot. You reckon they let me fly? I
We
don't
can
think
check and see.
Do we have any?
I just wonder if we can make money off of selling tickets from that first flight to see how long it takes to crash.
Let's hope that will happen.
You won't have any trouble finding some people who would be interested in doing it.
Oh, yeah.
It would be adults or could it be students?
So initially, we'll have to be adults. Whether we get to the student level at some point, that would be an interesting piece. Nobody wants to hear this conversation tonight because everybody has things to move through, but it'd be great at some point to have an aeronautics offering at the district level for all of our students to look into. So if this opens the door for that conversation, it'll be worth it.
I made that comment out of jest and experience. I've had the opportunity to try to navigate with one of those drones that they can be not real simple to operate. When they get out of range, they tend to crash. I speak from experience.
And there's so many, we'll be sharing things later if this is approved, but there's a lot of exciting things being done with this.
Oh, yes.
So we'll share that a little bit later. All right, anybody else? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All, and Mike raised his hand real high. Did y'all know that?
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a fine addition.
Item K is to approve job description and stipend for summer food service coordinator.
As you all know, we're doing more with students this summer than we've ever done before. And one of the things that that we need to do as well is feed them. So it's not always easy to find people who want to do that. So we're going to feed about 400 or so students with just 3 individuals throughout this year, or throughout this summer. And Ms. Morrow came to us with a recommendation that we create a job position and a job description for a food service coordinator for the summer and add a stipend to that. I think it's a great idea to do that, to support somebody who's going to be spending summer making sure our kids are capable of eating and being well fed while they're participating in an academic growth opportunity. So my recommendation is that you approve this position and the stipend that goes with it.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Hurd made a motion. Do I have a second? Ms. Davis? All right, do you have any questions?
Just the comment that it will be paid for through food service. You may have
That's correct.
said that, but I didn't. don't
I did not say that.
Be paid
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
for food service
Okay.
funds.
Anybody else?
If I may add that,
Please.
that individual has a great responsibility being the liaison to our vacation Bible schools also. So it's not just, our summer camps, which are plentiful this summer, but there's a lot of time spent taking down that information and organizing those dates and the number of students at those vacation Bible schools as well. So that individual would help to take some of that burden off the time.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. Last year, Vacation Bible Schools, it didn't happen for the most part, but I think they're coming back in play again. Any this summer request?
Yes, I'm probably up to 6 now,
Awesome.
and they're coming in every day.
Awesome.
So I'm fielding a lot of those calls. So they're back in full swing this summer, and last summer we had a manager at every single kitchen, So it's a lot different this summer, trying to do it from one school and take care of our VBSs also, our communities.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Anyone else? All in favor, let me know by the hand. All 4 board members present approve item K. Item L is to approve bid from C&T Design and Equipment for new cafeteria equipment. Mr. Stowe.
An RFP was released. We only had one respondent. That was C&T Design. It's for replacement equipment at CDR, LES, and PLES. The total amount's $160,000, again, coming out of food service. My recommendation that you approve the bid by C&T Design and Equipment.
Okay. Clerk Superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
That we accept this motion.
Ms. Davis made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurt seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All 4 board members present approve item L, which brings us to item M.
So item M is a good follow-up. Since we're bringing new equipment in, we're asking that you allow us to junk some kitchen equipment that is no longer operational so that we're not storing it. This is the easiest way for us to remove it. So my recommendation is that you approve the junking of that listed equipment.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion? All right. Mr. Murray, I'm sorry, made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Davis seconded. Any questions or comments? It's a no-brainer, isn't it? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. And item M is approved, junking of kitchen equipment. Well, that's the last item on our agenda.
Let me say something,
Please.
and I know we've kind of alluded to this before, is that it seems that when we're coming down through these things, we're just going through rapidly. And a lot of people really don't understand that we've already gone into really detailed discussion about these things, and we've hashed them around and everything that, there's things that's not on here that we disagreed with that didn't make the menu, so to speak. So I just want people to understand, just because we go through this, it doesn't mean it's a automatic stamp on everything, but it's as a result of intelligent, detailed discussion.
This information is received by the end of the previous week, so we've had it at our disposal to look at, to review, before we actually get to this meeting. So it's not new to us. We've had time to think about it and ask questions.
I can understand somebody watching on social media, I can understand this, and man, they went through that awful quick. That superintendent's getting everything he wants, no question that, but I assure you, such is not the case, is that right?
That's absolutely right.
And, but we go through these discussions in an amicable way, and it if we can't agree on something, we agree to disagree, is that right?
Exactly, and we don't agree on everything all the
That's
time.
true.
I can assure you.
That is true. Thank you all for sharing it. I don't know if that'll help those that are watching, but I hope that it does. All right, anybody else? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make the motion.
Mr. McCray made the motion. Do I have a second?
She seconds it.
Ms. Davis second. All in favor?
Tell me what.
All, we are adjourned. We do have one other item of business to take care of. We've got a new board this year, and with, entering into, we've hired a architect, thank you.
Yeah.
When you get my age, things don't come to you as quick as they used to. And so we need to, elect a finance corporation meeting, and this is considered a special call meeting. So at this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order, which is item 1, and item 2 is election of officers. Mr. Stowe, would you mind explaining how this has been done in the past and what we'd like to do tonight?
Absolutely. So that everybody understands, the board can never enter into acquired debt. And as the avenue that's put in place to keep you from doing that, but allowing for construction projects to exist, there has to be a finance corporation. Finance corporation is made up of the same members as the board would be, but we have to put this in place and we have to follow a certain protocol. Garrard County has typically used a process where the board vice chair becomes the president of that corporation and the board chair becomes the vice president. Just sort of a flip-flop of those positions. The other 3 members are classified as directors. Superintendent, in this case me, would be identified as the secretary, and our treasurer would be our finance officer, Ms. Coffey. So what you have in front of you is a list of those positions. And what I would ask you to do at this point is review that, make sure you're okay with how we have it set up and structured. We followed protocols by Baird Financial to make sure that we had everything in place as we should. And if you all are good with that, then we would take a motion for that and have a second, a vote. And if you approve that, then that would be your finance corporation.
May I have any questions about it? Everybody okay with the list that you've been given and the order of the officers? Do I have a motion to approve this as it's presented to me?
So moved.
All right, Mr. Hurt made the motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Ms. Davis second. Any questions or comments? Mike, looks like you got a
Since
question.
we're all on there, I don't guess it'd be a conflict of vote for yourself.
No, there would not be in this case. We ready to vote?
I'm ready to vote.
Let's vote. All in favor? All 4 members present voted. This is our finance corporation at this time. All right. Thank you all so much. Yes. Do I have a motion to adjourn the finance
I'll
corporation?
raise that motion also.
Mr. Curry made the motion.
I second.
She needs some seconds.
So you put that on him. Mr. Hurd says it. All in favor, let me know by lifting hand. We are adjourned. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Tell me what to do.
I think that was really fair, Mary Akers. I think that was